you could tell the faces, no, and then the entire venue going crazy, USA, USA.
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Belgian Jasper. If this is your first time in the channel, hit subscribe right now. Clementine, thank you so much for being back on the show here. And I mean, obviously, the first thing I have to say is damn you, COVID, because I was supposed to do this in person with you when you were in Toronto a few weeks ago. And then after 2 years, I get COVID. So I felt really bad about that. So maybe
I was really bummed too. It's so nice to meet people for real, you know?
For sure, yeah. We do exist in real life.
Yeah.
So obviously, I want to know, how was the show in Toronto? But please don't say it was great so that I have FOMO. What was it like?
It was great. To be super honest, when we go like that from one show to the other so fast, it's like I mix places up, because it's really hard to have the crowd in the memory reminding you, oh, this was Toronto, or this was Austin, or this was LA. You know, it's very, very difficult. I just remember that the Canadian crowd was really passionate. On the western part, we even had like mosh pits and circle pits on our music, which never happens in Europe because they're used to way heavier stuff to do that. But here it's like, I had the feeling everyone missed the show so much, and also probably you guys get less of the European acts than Europe does for obvious reasons, and probably you're just more excited, and we can sense that. It's amazing.
Shore, getting close, not a day we're meant to do what we adore.
We're just extremely nice people and want to show that appreciation. As long as you don't call people in Toronto Montreal and vice versa, you're pretty good.
Oh, no, we don't do that joke. I actually teased, who did I tease a little bit? I think it was after the Canadian shows, we were back in a town in the US, and at the beginning they were a little shy or something, and I had to say, you know, the people from Canada, they showed quite some power, and you could tell the faces, no, and then the entire venue going crazy, USA, USA, like in the movies, you know, the typical patriotic American, you know. And we're like, okay, I didn't mean to, you know, start a fight. It's all good.
It's such a missed opportunity for them not to say VOA, but anyway.
See? I didn't get it.
You know, here in Canada, we think of that, you know, but anyway, okay. In all seriousness, so the last time that we did, speak, you were already teasing a little bit that the journey, the wandering would go on, and that, you know, in the high seas, some dangers might be lurking, and you dropped a few piratey hints that now make total sense, obviously. Now, the Wanderers didn't just meet some pirates; their ship is burnt down, and I assume that everybody on that ship is now in Davy Jones' locker. A little bit of it is a little bit of a metaphor for, hey, this is a new era for the band. Like, you know, we burned the past down, and we're looking ahead.
Well, the interpretation you give on our cover artwork is very interesting. We did not think in this way, but it makes sense totally. So I really, really like it. To us, it's not like we burned the past. It's more like we lost ourselves and we found ourselves. And thanks to the pandemic, you know, as an echo to your introduction, like, fuck that pandemic, like, goddamn pandemic. I mean, I feel you. I mean, we couldn't meet because of that, but it gave us the time, you know. Suddenly shows were canceled and we didn't know for how long, and it looked like for a very long time. It lasted 2 years. So at some point we started to write music for the new record, and things didn't click. Some of the first songs came together. There was no direction, just like, where are we going with this? And I was always thinking, like, we're on a ship and it's foggy, and it's like completely, we have no stars to follow, no meaning, no ambition, nothing. And we took the time to really decide for ourselves like what we want to say as a band, what we want to represent, how we want to show up. And I was very attached to the pirate theme since I joined the band. Actually, I thought, to me, this has to be a pirate band, you know, Visions of Atlantis, not going for the Atlantis theme, but being the rebels of the sea, you know, metalheads, rebels, who are the rebels of the oceans, the pirates, you know. For me, it was all clear. But it took us a little longer to really embrace the concept. But when some of the other songs came and they were heavier and darker, we thought, this is the moment to really embrace that part of us, that powerful part of us, that are rebels.
Yeah.
And I see in every of my bandmates, I see a pirate, a completely different one every time. But I see how they live their life the way, like it's their own, you know. And so that's how we pretty much, in the middle of the whole songwriting process, decided to go for that.
A lot of the songs of the new album, first of all, new album, great new album. Love it. I love the fact that I don't have a favorite song on the album, because it's great. Like I put on the album and it kind of just like, you know, let me take it away, and before I know it, it's over. It's one of those albums that it's not a short album by any means, but it feels like it flies by, which I think is a great thing for an album. When we look at individual songs, on the surface we see, you know, stories of adventure and nautical themes, but we don't have to dig too deep to get to you know, some other meanings behind the songs. You were hinting at that already with some of the challenges that everybody had to face. For you personally, I know that you've made a lot of changes in your life in the last 24 months. Are you mastering the hurricane?
Well, yes, in the sense that I decided to face my storms instead of finding excuses or hiding into my cabin, like in the video of Master of the Hurricane. It's really about that. Like if you dwell in fear, if you dwell in doubts, it is just going to an end. I decided, no, okay, I'm going through this, and this is here to teach me something. It's not against me. I just need to just shift my perspective. And it does not mean that it's all flowers and birds and butterflies every day. What it means is that when there is a storm, I decided to accept that there is one, decided to face it, to embrace it, to be like, what are you here to tell me?
Yeah.
Why am I going through this, and how can I become stronger out of it? And made everything actually lose a lot of negative energy, because instead of making it bigger than it is, when you accept it, things get way more loose and more acceptable and more enjoyable, the whole experience of life.
Yeah. This is the third time that we get to do an interview. Am I talking to the happiest or most content Clementine?
I think so, yeah. For now. Yeah.
Okay. In a few years from now, if you look back, and if you just look at the list of like dates at when albums come out, and there was an album, it was a live album, a year and a half later, another album, Pirates. In a few years, you look back, it might almost look like, was this even real, this COVID thing? Because in your schedule that your band was on, it just kind of naturally fit. Is that the way you're now on stage again? And you're on stage a lot right now, and there's a lot happening, and you're one of the few bands now that is touring, introducing a new album while on tour. Is that a weird realization that, you know, you're almost completely back to normal, and there was this fugazi of 2 years that we went through a life-changing event, but now we're kind of where we were before? Is that kind of like a weird black hole?
I totally get your point, and I do think that if we hadn't made that big deep thinking with the band during that period of time, if I had not made the inner deep work I did on myself, yeah, it would totally feel like those 2 years. What were those 2 years about? But fortunately, I did some work that I remember that was intense, that engraved that time in myself. Yeah, the COVID was something that happened and changed me and changed our band. So
Yeah.
it felt like at some point, hollowness in the concrete actions, because when you think about yourself, it's not directly that you see the outcome, but still there's a lot happening inside. And it was the same for us. Like, we had so many discussions, and sometimes it took weeks spending on one song because we didn't know where this was going. Weeks on the same song, but still we knew there is a process ongoing. And this process, I still feel it, and I will still feel it, because if I look at Wanderers, if I look at our live DVD, and if I look at Pirates, I see myself, the evolution in between, because I was in the middle of it. From the outside, they released a CD every year, even in the pandemic. Yeah, that's not how it felt like. And so the process, that it's really, really vivid. And I will always be thankful that we took that turn on the events instead of suffering from the incapacity of playing live.
Throughout that process, I know that you've embraced or discovered just, personal sides to yourself, but from a musical perspective on the new album, I find, and maybe that's just my take as a listener, but it sounds to me that you are allowing yourself to be more adventurous with your voice in the songs as well on this album, more than before, where you go into different styles more often, and also within the confinements of one song, where maybe in the past it was a little bit more, that's the operatic song, that's the regular song. Do you agree with that, or am I completely off here?
No, I agree. I dropped some principles. Like, for instance, I remember with our previous releases, that if we would start a song, or if we would start a part in a certain vocal range, we should keep that vocal range for the whole for the whole part. And I said, screw that, because
you're a pirate, you don't care about the rules, come on.
Exactly, I make my own. And even I betray my own rules, I'm like, hey, I'm a pirate after. No, what I'm saying is that at some point I was like, is that rule really serving creativity in the music, or is it just there to polish a result? I thought at some point I want to write it like this, and I want to sing it like that, and if it resonates, and if I believe in, and if it helps me to just have something going through from in to out in a musical way, it doesn't matter if we change vocal range and style and all. And I think this empowered us as singers, made us feel more free, and brought more diversity to the entire record. And I will not go back to that way of approaching songwriting. That was, to me, at some point felt more like a cage than a way to express myself.
So you're fresh off of 2 tours. You did the tour with Back and Forth through North America. You also did a first headline stint. You've got plenty more planned, but I think you posted a few days ago, or maybe was it today? No, I think a few days ago, where you said, like, hey, very different experiences, these 2 little tours. So what was for you the biggest difference? What was the key takeaway for these tours that you learned?
Well, first of all, it's the kind of tours that we were on. Like Dragon First, we were part of the support act. So playing 30 minutes in front of huge crowds which did not know us. That against Europe, where we were playing as headline, an hour and a half from way smaller crowd, of course, post-COVID. A lot of people had their tickets, didn't show up. But people who knew us. So it's a complete different feeling, a complete different approach to the size of the stage, to the show itself, to how to keep healthy on tour on both sides. And like the headline tour, we did 9 shows in a row without a day off. And I knew it was like, I have to keep my voice up the whole time. And it was some conditions were challenging. So it's more first, like the kind of shows, being a support act in comparison to being a headline is a completely different experience. The pros of the US, the crowd. It's an amazing crowd, from the show to the meet and greets to after show meeting with people. They're super respectful, super enthusiastic, super polite. Yeah, it's really enjoyable to North America in general. I really like. We did 38 shows, so I think I have an overview. And yeah, I love that. The cons are unfortunately how the music business is treating musicians in the US. Like no catering sometimes, a lot of times no showers. We were 4 bands, so a lot of times we didn't have a dressing room, so we spent a lot of time on the bus and trying to save not going out for food all the time. So I remember so many dinners on just cold sandwiches. So it was really tough after 2 months almost, because everywhere it's a little bit of a struggle, everywhere adapting, and your basic needs are not covered. So yeah, that was a little tough. And Europe for that has a different approach. We get catering every day, so at least we don't have to search for food when we arrive to the venue. And that's the main difference. What the similarities also in the negative would be the condition of the tour buses. We had 4 breakdowns in the US tour, and our bus in Europe didn't have AC, so it was starting to be like just a driving oven at some point. Even though it was not the worst, like it's not as warm as right now, but still.
The album is out now, so that's, you can, don't have to worry about that anymore. Had some singles out. It's all just touring. I think you may have teased some solo stuff as well in the past. Is there anything that you are allowed to share at this point, or do we have to wait and be patient?
Well, for now, I do release, I already released one. I do release my songs on Patreon. Because it's not yet into the huge professional production. These are really good demos, but not like how I would present them if it was to be public. I think right now I'm able to share those demos, and I want to share them with those privileged who support me on Patreon. And when I will have enough to be able to make a first record, I'll discuss with Napalm for sure, and maybe other partners, and see what the interest could be, and then decide if I go with the label or if I go my own.
Yeah,
that's pretty much the plan.
All right, awesome. So lots of good stuff coming our way. A lot of opportunities for everybody that doesn't get COVID to see you guys on stage, and all the people should sign up for Patreon and get those solo songs as well. Clementine, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it, as always. And I hope to see you guys on the stage this summer, and maybe then we can catch up in person. But thank you so much for your time. As always, I very much appreciate it, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the evening in Italy.
Thank you so much.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it, and subscribe to the channel.